The decision to occupy Gaza has been made by the Israeli war cabinet, yet when it comes to the rhetoric, when it comes to sort of what will actually happen, we still don't really know. Welcome to the Daily Objective. Today we'll discuss one, the type of rhetoric Israeli officials, or more specific, Netanyahu, are choosing to use, as well as some of the comments coming from the United States, as well as we'll cover, if we have time, some of the comments from Germany, Canada, and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. And with the main theme being, is the occupation even sort of the goal, or is it really simply a ruse, a bluff that's meant to convince Hamas to negotiate? Now, to start us off, let's give us a reminder of sort of what's happening with the negotiations. So as we know, the negotiations, or as is being sort of like reported, we don't know fully what's happening, of course, but sort of the general idea when it comes to reports is that basically there is no negotiation happening, and it is because of Hamas. It's because Hamas didn't want to negotiate. Now, you may ask yourselves, why is Hamas, of all people, feeling in this good position of not having to negotiate when Israel is, controlling 75% of Gaza and should be calling the shots? Well, as people might remember, countries like France originally have decided to recognize the Palestinian state, and later United Kingdom, Canada, um, trying to remember all of them. I think even Germany is now sort of considering it, have basically joined when it comes to recognizing the Palestinian state, or have joined that basically have committed to, in September, when there is the UN General Assembly, to potentially recognize the Palestinian state. Um, and I think this emboldened Hamas. This told Hamas that the world is behind you. The world is not behind Israel. Uh, the world is not behind Israel. They will support you, and you don't need to negotiate. You will get better terms if you simply continue fighting, if you simply continue not sort of negotiating in any way, then you will get something better. And we've seen that before, right? The best kind of deal Israel ever got from Hamas, which, from the day one we said there shouldn't be any negotiations. But when it comes to the deals, the best one there was not that long after October 7. I cannot remember exactly when it was, but it was very soon, like I think weeks or months into war, and we actually got a lot of hostages back, and relatively quickly. It wasn't, if you compare the last deal where we had maybe like two hostages once a week, I think that one was I think it was 50 in total. And again, it was much quicker. It was over much shorter period. So again, when it comes to making the deal, it looks like Hamas has been gaining the upper hand, despite the fact that by any sort of reasonable criteria, like how much Israel is pushing, how much Israel has achieved, Israel should have been the one getting the better side of the deal. We have Deborah in the chat saying the goal should be reversing the 2005 withdrawal. Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to what needs to happen in Gaza, Israel needs to take it back, or take it back, kick out of the Palestinians, or let them stay, but make sure to impose certain kind of military occupation until they can turn the population into something better through de-radicalization, through education. Bonnie in the chat is asking, is occupation even possible? How will Israel demilitarize Gaza? As Netanyahu said, how do you tell Hamas from non-Hamas, from the relatives of Hamas? Well, when it comes to demilitarization, again, not necessarily an expert on this, but I think that's relatively easy. I mean, at some point, you will get rid of, if you impose full control, you are controlling what's coming in, you are fully on the ground, and you can ensure it. Now, the question is, I think it's possible in the terms of like physically possible, but when it comes to sort of the will to do it, as well as we say, the sort of it's much different to occupy a population that is okay to sort of stay under it, or at least has resigned, has surrendered, and is allowing you to be there, and there is no sort of no attempts to basically break out. Again, sort of like examples of Germany or Japan after World War II. And it's a difference when you have a population that still wants to actively fight you and is not surrendering, which is exactly what the Palestinians are, right? They haven't surrendered. They want to continue fighting. And even if there is a occupation, they wouldn't want to stay under. They wouldn't want to basically sort of try to integrate into Israeli society, or even sort of normalize or de-radicalize their own culture. We have a super chat from Gail. Thank you so much. So when it comes to sort of the narrative, or sort of the things we have been hearing from Netanyahu, he's recently posted, and now I'll bring up one comment from last video that somebody told me, and if we have any Hebrew speakers, they can tell me. But somebody said in Hebrew, apparently there is no distinction, or you don't have separate words between conquering and occupying, or like conquer and occupy, which is why sort of like translating exactly the rhetoric coming out of Netanyahu might not be exact, but maybe somebody can tell me in the chat to confirm, and we can talk about it. But Netanyahu has said yesterday, we are not going to occupy Gaza. We are going to free Gaza from Hamas. Gaza will be demilitarized and a peaceful civilian administration will be established, one that is not Palestinian Authority, not Hamas, and not any other terrorist organization. This will help free our hostages and ensure Gaza does not pose a threat to Israel in the future. And we've heard that, or we've read that before. We've read that yesterday, and it's still problematic. I mean, one of uh, uh, one of the reasons why you have to occupy is you have to demilitarize. This is something you have to achieve, and you are already sort of and it's something you have to say that you are not going away, right? You will be there until they do it, not until you get bored and you want to get out, like was done in Gaza in the past. So again, when it comes to this idea of like in some ways, Netanyahu is right. This is not occupation. This is some kind of like temporary takeover, meaning you just have IDF soldiers on the whole ground, and you will give it back to the Arab states. We'll see who exactly it might be, if it's Saudi Arabia or Qatar or some other state. But again, I have no idea what kind of state is this magical, they'll ensure Palestinians are not radical. Not to mention, who wants to even deal with the Palestinian population, right? When it comes to, for example, when it comes to even Jordan, I don't think they like their Palestinian population. I don't think that somebody in the chat yesterday said if there was an election in Jordan, the Muslim Brotherhood would win. And yeah, there is a political party in Jordan which is basically sort of like affiliated with the Muslim Brotherhood. And the fact is that there was an election last year, and Muslim Brotherhood did win. So and they that political party, the Muslim Brotherhood, was founded by Palestinians in Jordan. So Yeah, I don't think Jordan is one of the countries that is trying to, on face, be a little bit more sort of like pro-Western. I think the royal family was one of the more sort of like Western aligned royal families in the past. And I think they are still trying to be. But the fact is, they have this Palestinian population that absolutely wants nothing. I think my understanding, one of the bigger reasons why the Muslim Brotherhood aligned party in Jordan has won is the fact that Jordan has condemned October 7 attack when it happened, not like recently, but like when it happened. And that was like a big problem because they were supposed to simply stand behind Hamas, stand behind Palestinians. Uh, we have a super chat from Gail. I'm not sure if I read it. Thank you so much. And a super chat from Bonnie. Thank you so much. Um, Deborah in the chat says, I hope it's not temporary. Gaza should be part of Israel, not controlled by foreign arms. Uh, I mean, yeah, absolutely. It should be part of Israel because like Palestinians have shown again and again they do not have any desire to actually have a peaceful society, to have a society that will live side by side with Israel. They had several attempts to do so, and time after time they chose to not do so. So let's get into why it really does seem like what Netanyahu doing is just a bluff. I mean, just take the if this was like a long-term occupation, which I don't think there was ever a chance of that because of sort of both Netanyahu and I think broader Israeli society, that it simply doesn't seem to be any sentiment to go back into Gaza. Um, but basically, I mean, when you want to do an occupation, you need also the right rhetoric to do so. And this kind of oh, we'll go in after 2 years. We'll finally go fully into Gaza. We'll finally go fully into Deir al-Laba or Bala or however you pronounce that. Um, I mean, yeah. At the same time, there are negotiations happening. I think Witkov has recently, or is set to meet the Qatari Prime Minister. In Spain on Saturday today to discuss the end to war in Gaza and the release of all 50 remaining hostages. So, and I think from the start, when it comes to the American rhetoric, it seemed to be not necessarily that they oppose this sort of like going in, but America seemed to oppose annexation of Gaza. Which again, just a reminder, even if there is like a full occupation, it's not like Gaza would be annexed tomorrow. Like even if occupation happens, annexation would probably I mean, you could perhaps annex parts of it, but the full-on annexation would take like decades to actually realize. Because again, imagine what annexation means. It would mean every single Palestinian in Gaza is on the would have the full rights of an Israeli citizen. So this won't happen, even if there is a full occupation. This won't happen anytime soon. Um, so yeah, this is what we'll see. When it comes to sort of what I think will happen is I think we are really just heading for some kind of a deal. Um, Again, I don't even understand what exactly the occupation would mean. This sort of like short-term occupation, or we don't really call it occupation, as Netanyahu says. It's just freeing Palestinians from Gaza. Unfortunately, I think this is just a risking of the IDF lives for nothing, for basically just giving it back to the Arab states, whoever it will be. So again, at this point, it seems uh, Israel will either realize what needs to happen in Gaza, or you just get out. I mean, it still needs to get the hostages back, but if people think they can get the hostages back, get the hostages back in a deal, I think they will just simply do it. So, yeah, with that, we still have some time, so let's cover some of the recent comments. Bonnie in the chat is asking, has media or IDF said why the military is against Netanyahu's plan? I think the main somebody can correct me, but the main thing is just it's hard to do so. They don't think it's realistic because if we are talking about Gaza City and sort of like full takeover of Gaza City, 1 million people are there to fully occupy that, to fully take over that. One, you actually have to control that population, right? Whenever IDF took over some territory, they simply sent everybody out. When was going to Rafah, everybody was supposed to evacuate Rafah. So sort of this full occupation would mean you have control over all of the people, and you also have to distribute humanitarian aid. I mean, if that population is living under you, then you are the one responsible for them. So I think that was the biggest reason why Israel didn't want to do anything or didn't want to take over all parts. And I think still doesn't want to. I don't think even if it happens, I think what they are trying to do is it really seems to be just getting some sort of a deal. But yeah, let's cover some of them. So we have Merz. I think we mentioned it yesterday that Germany will stop exporting arms into Israel that could be used in Gaza. The Prime Minister's office commented on this, saying instead of supporting Israel's just war against Hamas, which carried out the most horrific attack against the Jewish people since the Holocaust, Germany is rewarding Hamas terrorism by embargoing arms to Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel's goal is not to take over Gaza, but to free Gaza from Hamas and enable a peaceful government to be established there. Yeah, I mean, again, Israel is trying to justify its existence. It's trying to justify its defense because of the suffering that was caused to them. But Israel has a sort of, I don't like saying right to defend itself, but Israel has the right to get rid of the Palestinian threat because they have decided to go war against them and are a threat to every single Israeli, every single free Israeli in Israel, threat to their individual rights that Palestinians do not care for. German Chancellor Merz has commented, very concerned about the suffering of population in the Strip. He also demanded Israel not take any step toward annexations of Judea and Samaria. So again, this idea of like being concerned for suffering of the population in the Strip, they've chosen. This is something they wanted. They wanted to go into war, and they are not even some consequences of those actions because Israel is delivering aid. I think it was just published yesterday that how much airdrop is being is going into Gaza. So they had been getting all the aid they would need, and when they don't get it, it's because Hamas is stealing it. And they shouldn't have done that. They've given the population like an ability to survive, an ability to not suffer the consequences of their actions. They've completely removed cause and effect. Hamas and Palestinians committed October 7, decided to go war against Israel. And what did they got? They got the recognition of the Palestinian state. They got the world behind them. People are finally listening to Palestinians. They were rewarded for their actions. They have no reason to change the course of their actions. Again, when you talk with people, think of what kind of signals you're giving them. And Palestinians have gotten signal again and again that fight forever, and they will be rewarded for it. They should kill Jews, and they will be rewarded for it. We have a super chat from Apollo Zeus. Thank you so much. I think separately we can bring up also the Canada's Prime Minister, who said we join many others in viewing that this is wrong, talking about the situation in Gaza. This action will not contribute to an improvement in the humanitarian situation on the ground. It is going to put the lives of hostages at greater risk rather than lessening it. and he called for immediate ceasefire and for Hamas to return all of the hostages and their remains. Um, so again, this idea, I hate when these people say this will endanger the hostages because these people don't care about the hostages. They've never they I mean, I remember I think it was the Amnesty International report, which was like a whole report on why Israel is this horrible state. And at the end, it called for Hamas to release all civilian hostages. Basically, you can keep the IDF soldiers that were taken on October 7th, which again, we are not even specifically saying that some people were caught while in action. We're talking about just some people that are simply in the IDF were taken and now somehow are being viewed as less human or not deserving of release. Sorry for that, I had to cough a little. So again, these people don't care about the hostages. And when it comes to one more person who doesn't care about the hostages, Antonio Guterres, he said, or in the statement it was said, the Secretary General is gravely alarmed by the decision of the Israeli government to take control of Gaza. This decision marks a dangerous escalation and risks deepening that already catastrophic consequence for millions of Palestinians and could further endanger more lives, including of the remaining hostages. So yeah, this action will endanger lives of Palestinians, as did the act of October 7th. They shouldn't have started this if they didn't want to endanger their own lives. They've chosen to do so. And Israel responding in kind is not evil on the Israeli part. It's just. It's giving people what they deserve. Palestinians could have lived in peace, could have chosen peaceful means of interacting with their, they would probably not even call Jews their fellow men, but in reality, we are all rational animal. We are all fellow men if we choose to be so. And Palestinians have chosen not to do so. Palestinians have chosen to opposite, uh, um, to treat the Jewish people and the Israeli people at large as simply people they want to completely wipe out. Israel should respond in kind, should give them what they want. They wanted to deal with people by force. Israel should deal with them by force. This is the only way you can deal with that. Once somebody says they do not want to deal with you by reason, there is no negotiation, there is no reason you could do to make it happen. Somebody says you are making generalizations about the collective. I'm not sure if specifically he means somebody in the chat or me, but Israel needs to end this war. This is the only way to go forward. I'm not sure what you mean by generalizations. When I say the Palestinian people hate Israel, that's what I mean. This is the culture I want. Show me one Palestinian or people who call themselves Palestinians that do not call for the wiping out of Israel. It's a political movement. It's a movement that unifies a certain group based around the ideology of wiping out Israel. Now, of course, when I say that, I'm not talking about the children in Gaza. I'm not necessarily talking about every single Palestinian, but that's not something I have to prove. Show me something different. Show me that this is not the case. Because everything points towards that. Everything points towards Palestinian population being the kind of culture that simply wants to live in the state of war with each other. Hamas is killing their own people, and with Israel at large. I mean, you are making generalizations about Gazans. It's not the right to assume everyone shares that ideology. Well, show me a different or tell me what should be different or how does it make sense. When we fought World War II, we were dealing with Japanese people and German people. That's who you're dealing with. It's a kind of culture that made Nazism and made sort of like state Shintoism possible. They've chosen to do so, and they should suffer the consequences of that. And the people who don't want it, they should stand up to the government. yeah, when you do not want to suffer the consequences of the government you have to stand up. You have to do something about it. You cannot expect somebody else to take care of you, to take care of your life. We have a super chat from Apollo Zeus. Thank you so much. And I think we can about to start wrapping up since I think we've mostly covered what we wanted today. We'll continue covering this. I really hope we won't hear about the deal anytime soon, but I really think that this whole occupation of Gaza is really does seem like a bluff, and we will most likely see some kind of a deal. Let's hope I'm wrong. But with that, thank you everybody for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Daily Objective. Until then, thank you and bye bye.